So Trump met with the Salvadoran president in the Oval Office, and then they had, you know, media, CNN, and all that. I think Kaitlan Collins in there, and he called him out. Pretty funny though.
President, do you plan to ask President Bukele to help return the man who you're administrating?
So he said, let's start with this.
Anchor at CB. Thank you, President. Do you plan to ask President Bukele?
No. That's that. You want to hear what he
the
said.
question from this very low-rated anchor at CB.
Thank you, President. Do you plan to ask President Bukele to help return the man who your administration says was mistakenly deported? The man who was mistakenly deported to El Salvador?
Well, let me ask Pam, would you answer that question?
Sure, President. First and foremost, he was illegally in our country. He had been illegally in our country. And in 2019, two courts, an immigration court and an appellate immigration court, ruled that he was a member of MS-13 and he was illegally in our country.
Yeah.
Right now, it was additional paperwork had needed to be done. That's up to El Salvador if they want to return him. That's not up to us. The Supreme Court ruled, President, that if, as El Salvador wants to return him, this is international matters, foreign affairs.
Yeah.
If they wanted to return him, we would facilitate it, meaning provide a plane.
So will you return him, President
And
Bukele?
you are doing a great job.
Thank you.
President Miller, wait a minute. Can you just also respond to that question?
So this is, the liberal media is actually looking for for that mistake. It was not even a mistake. The dude was part of the MS-13 gang and is here in the country illegally. Now they're asking him, are you going to bring him back to the United States? That dude is illegal. And I don't know what's the Salvadorians going to say about that.
Because, it's asked by CNN, and they always ask it with a slant.
Yeah.
Because they're totally slanted because they don't know what's happening. That's why nobody's watching them. But would you answer that question also, please?
Yes, gladly. So, as Pam mentioned, there's an illegal alien from El Salvador. So, with respect to you, he's a citizen of El Salvador. So, it's very arrogant even for American media to suggest that we would even tell El Salvador how to handle their own citizens as a starting point. As two immigration courts found that he was a member of MS-13. When President Trump declared MS-13 to be a foreign terrorist organization, that meant that he was no longer eligible under federal law, which I'm sure you know, you're very familiar with the INA, that he was no longer eligible for any form of immigration relief in the United States. So he had a deportation order that was valid, which meant that under our law, he's not even allowed to be present in the United States.
Yeah.
And had to be returned because of the foreign terrorist designation. This issue was then, by a district court judge, completely inverted, and a district court judge tried to tell the administration that they had to kidnap a citizen of El Salvador and fly him back here. That issue was raised to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said the district court order was unlawful, and its main components were reversed 9-0 unanimously, stating clearly that neither Secretary of State nor the President could be compelled by anybody to forcibly retrieve a citizen of El Salvador from El Salvador, who again is a member of MS-13, which, as I'm sure you understand, rapes little girls, murders women, murders children, is engaged in the most barbaric activities in the world, and I can promise you, if he was your neighbor, you would move right away.
Hello, yes, police? Yeah, I'd like to report a murder.
So you don't plan to ask for anyone?
Oh my goodness, just keep pushing it. This is why there's such a low rating, dude. This is just not this. Why she keeps pushing this narrative that I mean, God forbid that they'll make a mistake and mistakes happens, right? But this is not even a mistake. The guy, literally, is a member of an MS-13. He's in El Salvador. So, by that account, he should be released from his country, not bring it back to the United States. He has no reason to be in the United States. He's illegal.
Get him back.
And
that-
what was the ruling
that your
in
position?
the Supreme Court, Steve? Was it 9-0?
Yes, it was a 9-0
Yeah.
In our favor.
in our favor against the district court ruling, saying that no district court has the power to compel the foreign
None.
policy function of the United
None.
States. As
And the
Pam said,
federal-
the ruling solely stated that if this individual, at El Salvador's sole discretion, was sent back to our country, that we could deport him a second time.
Well,
No version of this legally ends up with him ever living here
that doesn't
because he
even
is a
make sense.
citizen of El Salvador. That is the president of El Salvador. Your questions about it, per the court, can only be directed to him.
I asked
¿Usted lo
President
liberaría,
Bukele,
Presidente
what is your-
Bukele?
can President Bukele weigh in on this? Do you plan to return him?
Well, I'm suppose you're not suggesting that I smuggle a terrorist into the United States, right?
It's always
how,
CNN.
how can I smuggle? How can I return him to the United States? Like I smuggle him into the United States, or what do I do? Of course, I'm not going to do it. It's like, I mean, the question is preposterous. How can I smuggle a terrorist into the United States?
Yeah.
I don't have the power to return him to the United States.
So you can release him inside El Salvador.
Yeah, but I'm not releasing. I mean, we're not very fond of releasing terrorists into our country. I mean, we just turned the murder capital of the world into the safest country of the Western Hemisphere, and you want us to go back into the releasing
It
criminals
is
so we can
so
go back to being
stupid
the
and
murder capital?
mind-boggling. These liberal things, especially this CNN, that they want him back in this country, and they want him to, yeah, like he's saying that Bukele wants to smuggle that person be back in the United States, just because apparently the United States made a mistake deporting him, just to undermine Trump's administration. This is. Oh
Of
my
the world. No, that's not going to happen.
Not gonna happen.
Well, they'd love to have a criminal,
Yeah,
released into
I mean, there's a fascination.
They would love it.
Yeah.
They're sick. These are sick people. Marco, do you have something to say about
Yeah, I mean, Stephen outlined it. I don't know.
I mean, it seems like it though. I mean, like, why would you want to do that? I think it's just to prove, that Trump are not doing a good job. I think that's what. It's just
understand what the
nauseating.
confusion
to me.
is. This individual is a citizen of El Salvador. He was illegally in the United States and was returned to his country. That's where you deport people, back to their country of origin.
Yeah.
Except for Venezuela, that wasn't refusing to take people back, or places like that. I can tell you this, Mr. President. No, the foreign policy of the United States is conducted by the President of the United States,
Yeah.
not by a court.
Not by a
And
court.
no court
Not
in
in
the
the
United
state
States has a
legislature.
right to conduct the foreign policy of the United States.
Oh, boy.
It's that simple. End of story.
And that's what the Supreme Court held. by the way.
I don't even want
The
to.
Supreme
That's
Court
good
said-
that they ruled that in court. I mean, I think the Congress and Senate passed that law. I don't even want the district court be meddling with with if a Democrat is in office in the White House or in executive. Obama, Biden, Clinton. I don't want anyone doing that, because it's the separation of power. But and that's a good thing that they passed that law, though. But according Rubio's right.
Exactly what Marco said, that no
Yeah.
court has the authority to compel
No
the
court.
foreign policy function of the United States. We won a case 9-0, and people like CNN are portraying it as a loss, as usual, because they want foreign terrorists in the country who kidnap women and children.
Okay.
But President Trump, his policy is foreign terrorists that are here illegally get expelled from the country, which, by the way, is a 90-10 issue.
Well,
Yeah.
Mr. President, you said that if the Supreme Court said someone needed to be returned, that you would abide by that. You said that on Air Force One just a few days ago, and they
How
said
long do we have to
that
answer
it must
this
be
question?
facilitated.
Yeah, just
Why don't you just say, isn't it wonderful that we're keeping criminals out of
Yeah,
our country? Why
exactly.
can't you just say that?
oh my
Why do
goodness.
you go over and over, and that's why nobody watches you anymore. You have no credibility. Please, go ahead.
President Trump, thank you so much.
Stop! He's already dead.
Oh man, that is just oh boy, I don't know. That's so much to take in there. He's right though. No one watches the CNN, especially her. Oh man, she's gonna go home and cry.